Hello and welcome to Aspirex PRINCE2 webinar series. Today's topic is Top Industries Hiring PRINCE2 Certified Professionals, hosted by Debashis Jena. That's me. You can simply call me DJ. So what's on plate? We're going to discuss the global demand for project managers. We'll see how the project management profession is expected to grow in the next 5 to 10 years. Thereafter, we'll touch upon demand by country and region specific, how the demand would vary. And next, the industries. Which industries do we see project management to grow rapidly so that you can focus on these industry areas? Breaking into the field. So, how to make an entry into project management? What qualifications are needed? What skills would be important to make an entry? Speak about that. Top industries hiring PRINCE2 professionals. And lastly, we'll also take a look at the salary comparison. So, certified project managers versus non-certified project managers, what's the differentiation? And finally, the benefits of PRINCE2 certification. So that's an agenda. And I would have to introduce myself. So I have 24 years of total experience, and most of which has been into project program management. The initial years, I myself managed projects, programs, and all. And for the last 13 years, I'm in this profession, which is training and consulting. So when I say consulting, I do things such as setting up a project management office for an organization, doing a gap assessment in terms of maturity in project management, competency development. I have done a more than 1,000 plus evaluation of the project management workforce for various organizations. I'm a certified assessor as well, P3, M3 assessor, right? So that is project, program, and portfolio management maturity model. So I do a gap assessment. I certify organizations on their maturity level. And as far as training is concerned, some numbers, I have trained more than 22,000 project management professionals on project management, program management. That's my domain. So without wasting any further time, let's straight get to the agenda. So what we are going to touch upon is the global demand. You will understand where jobs are growing, not shrinking, so that you know where to focus on, what would be the right market. Next, we'll take a look at high hiring industries. You will know which sectors to target. Is it IT or energy, construction, finance, public sector? We'll take a look at these sectors. Entry strategies, how to make an entry into the field of project management, what qualifications and skills would be helpful in doing so. Also, we talk about the salary advantage, clear understanding of earning difference between certified and non-certified professionals. So the global demand for project managers. Let's take a look at this first. I would start with the report that was published by the Project Management Institute in the Talent Gap report. So according to this report, in the global project management workforce, we would need another 30 million professionals. And just to set the context, currently we have, sorry for the interruption. Currently we have about 40 million project management professionals. And look at this, another 30 millions needed in the next 10 years. So I would not say that's growth, that's explosion, right? So this is the current talent gap. And also to set the context, we have 40 million project management professionals in the current project management workforce globally. And you know how many nurses do we have? We have about 30 million nurses in the healthcare industry. We have about 25 million software development professionals. So look, project management already outweighs, right? And another 30 million to be added. So there's huge gap when it comes to project managers. And why this demand, do you think? Well, Every industry now works in projects. Government operates through program which in turn have projects within it. Corporations launch transformation initiatives which are undertaken as projects. So earlier, companies used to run departments. Now companies run initiatives, and these initiatives are projects. So everything is a project, be it a digital transformation being undertaken by a bank, that's a project. AI rollout in manufacturing, be it a solar power plant setup, an ERP implementation, everything is a project. So everything that's temporary and outcome based, which is how every initiative these days is taken up. And that's hence is a project. And as for PMI, the Project Management Institute, nearly 2.5 million people are needed every year. I mean, project management professionals. So the industry has to add 2.5 million project management professionals per year. So that's huge demand. Let's take a look at what's driving this demand. Why is this growing? So as per PMI Global Workforce projection, the major sectors that are going to drive this explosion include infrastructure, digital transformation, energy, regulatory. These are certain focus industries that's going to drive this expansion. Right? Let's take a closer look at each of these. When we talk about infrastructure, right? Governments are investing trillions in infrastructure. So there's huge funding that's going to be spent in infrastructure kind of projects. So for example, be it the US Infrastructure Investment and Job Act, which budgets 1.2 trillion, right, of investment in the infrastructure. The UK HS2 rail program, the Saudi Vision 2030 infrastructure, India's national infrastructure pipeline. There are many others. So these are some major examples of initiatives that's going to come up in the infrastructure industry. All of these are multi-year project portfolios requiring structured governance and hence project management. If you talk about digital transformation, a report from McKinsey mentions that 70% of digital transformations fail due to the lack of structured governance. So, there's huge potential for applying a structured project management approach in the digital transformation sector. Every bank, hospital, government is modernizing their systems. For example, be it the NHS digital patient system in the UK, be it Singapore's Smart Nation initiatives, India's Digital India programs, cloud migration, cybersecurity, ERP upgrades, all such projects, digital transformation projects, require project managers. Another industry which is going to be in focus a lot is the energy sector. So energy is driving the world, politics, revenues, everything. So global renewable energy investment exceeded 1.7 trillion in 2023. And this is as per the International Energy Agency data, right? IEA. So here the kind of projects would be solar farms, hydrogen plants, offshore wind, right? These are mega engineering projects. And there are many being undertaken across the globe, many. So to name a few, if you talk about solar, so some of the major ones being the NEOM Green Hydrogen Solar Park in the Saudi Arabia, the Gujarat Hybrid Renewable Energy Park in India, or be it the Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum Solar Park in the UAE. These are some major ones. If you talk about offshore wind and renewable hubs, the Western Green Energy Hub in Australia, the major offshore wind clusters, Europe and North Sea. These are some names of major energy projects. There are many, many others, by the way. Talk of regulatory. The regulatory pressure has always been there, and it is increasing. So banks now spend billions annually on compliance kind of programs. So these are certain sectors which is going to keep the demand very high. Now let's take a closer look by country, region specific, where which sector is going to grow. If you talk about the United States, as per the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, project management roles is to grow faster than average occupations, more than other occupations. The US is strong when it comes to the tech, healthcare, infrastructure. So these are certain industries that would see maximum demand. Healthcare, IT modernization projects, tech product launches, federal infrastructure. So these would be the primary contributors of projects in the United States. While in United States, the PMP certification you may have come across is widely adopted. But even then, PRINCE2 is growing its recognition in the multinational environments. And if you talk about the United Kingdom, UK historically is the PRINCE2's home market, we can say, and that's because PRINCE2 comes from the UK. The Office of Government Commerce, they're the ones that build this PRINCE2 method. And after several handoffs, now it is being owned by PeopleCert. So hence it is heavily adopted in the UK, be it the National Health Services, be it civil service, defense, infrastructure, in many public sector tenders in the UK. PRINCE2 knowledge is assumed because that's the de facto method that is being practiced to manage projects. Europe, if you talk about manufacturing, there is renewed emphasis on manufacturing and even green energy growth would be a major drivers for growth of projects in the Europe. In particular, Germany, manufacturing transformations, Netherlands, if you talk about green energy projects, France, transport modernization. These are some major initiatives. And especially if you talk about the EU Green Deal, right, which is the EU's overarching strategy to make Europe the first climate neutral continent by 2050. This alone would drive several hundreds of sustainability projects. So that would be one of the major areas that would contribute towards growth. Asia, if you talk about, well, Asia is the fastest growing region in the world. And the sectors that would be in focus in Asia would include IT, smart cities, renewable energy, even here, manufacturing. These are certain industries that would lead the race, right? So large multinational companies, they have good presence in Asia. And these MNCs standardize their project delivery framework, which is something that PRINCE2 does support. So if you talk about some mega projects in Asia, that would include the Singapore National Smart Nation Project, the India Digital Government Platforms, or be it Malaysia Semiconductor and Electronics Manufacturing. So these are some of the major initiatives in this region. Now let's take a look at breaking into the field. How do you make an entry into the project management world, right? Now, let's get this straight. As a fresh graduate or someone new to project management, right, it's unrealistic to expect that an organization would immediately entrust you with a senior project manager position, right? So these roles, senior positions, would demand a lot of experience, judgment, proven track record, right? Instead, so to make an entry into the project management, you may target, gateway roles. When I say gateway roles, roles like project coordinator, PMO analyst, and all, that can help you build the foundational exposure and credibility. So, as a project coordinator or PMO analyst, all right, which would be the gateway roles, these roles would be a good starting point to give you hands-on experience. Yeah, these roles would primarily involve performing tasks like project reporting and dashboarding, right? Governance frameworks and compliance, process compliance, ensuring that scheduling and tracking milestones, yeah, risk and issue documentation, right? Stakeholder communication support. These roles predominantly involve these kind of tasks. So working in a PMO environment especially helps you understand how projects are structured, monitored, and controlled at an organization level, right? So building the discipline and visibility needed to eventually step up to a full project manager role, right? And now these roles may not involve as much of leadership, direction, decision making. However, these do expose you to a lot of essential project management areas. And that's the best way to learn project management practically. So with that insight, organizations would consider you to give a higher roles, in future. So tailor your CV, obviously. So a well-structured CV, is definitely much required. Using the right language, keywords. I'm not getting into those, but for example, instead of saying worked on project, you better say assisted in planning, risk logging, stakeholder reporting. So these keywords, are quite helpful. A lot of uh, screening happens basis that, right? So so once you learn some of project management basic stuff, you should be able to design your CV and introduce these keywords to ensure screening. Academic projects, if you're a fresh graduate, so in that case you won't have much to showcase. Then in that case you can highlight your academic projects, maybe the final year project that you did, what kind of planning you undertook in that project, what group coordination, teamwork, deadline management, how did you address that. You may choose to highlight that, and along with that demonstrate basic project management life cycle knowledge. So you should have a view of how the project life cycle runs, right? So a fair understanding of the phases in a project, like a typical project life cycle would start with structured initiation, then entering into the planning stages. Initiation would cover defining the objectives, the broad scope, rough time and cost estimates, then the planning stage where we put up the detailed plans, project schedule, budget, various other subsidiary plans. Execution of the project, yeah, monitoring and controlling, and closing. So that's a typical project life cycle. So you must be having a fair understanding of the life cycle, right? So just learning the fundamentals, I would say, helps many times, right? So what helps you get hired? Well, these are some skills. Clear communication. So, well, communication is a generic skill. Most professions require that. And obviously, why not project management? Even in project management, that's needed. So when hiring, managers evaluate freshers. They're not expecting deep expertise, but they look for absolute clarity. Okay, they expect that in the candidate. So clear communications, when I say in a project environment, it would mean writing concise, professional emails, structuring presentations logically, explaining status without confusion, right? Listening actively before responding. So these are key communication skills. So in project environments, communication, miscommunication, I would say, causes delays, rework, and a lot of conflict. It's a source of conflict in projects. So if you can articulate ideas clearly, be it in meetings, be it in calls, in your documentations that you prepare, you immediately stand out. So communication is an important skill. Strong organization. Another much needed skill in a project manager. So project environments are typically chaotic by nature. A lot of chaos we have. So that's the reason organization becomes a lot important. Even entry-level roles, are expected to manage multiple deadlines, different stakeholders with competing needs, competing priorities of projects, constant changes. Okay, so in order to handle these chaos, that projects bring with them, managing trackers, issue risk trackers and all, following up systematically, managing calendars, even keeping documents under version control. These are some strong organization skills much needed in a project manager. Structured reports. So project managers, they spend a lot of time in preparing reports. So projects run on visibility, and these reports provide that visibility to the stakeholders, right? So even as a fresher, you may be asked to prepare weekly status reports, right? Thanks to Gen AI these days, a lot of things can be automated, but nevertheless, it requires intelligence of the practitioner, okay, to be applied. So yeah, so I still saying weekly status report to be prepared, or maybe RAID logs, risk assumptions, issues, dependencies, maintaining such logs, dashboards, meeting minutes, so status structured reporting, if you report in a structured manner, that shows you understand governance. You can synthesize information, right? You respect data accuracy and data-based insight. Okay, so well-formatted status report signals professionalism immediately. So that's another good skill that can help you stand out. Basic tools knowledge. Look, you don't have to be an expert in tools to begin with. And also the kind of tools that will be used would vary from project to project, organization to organization, right? But knowing some basics like Excel, working in Excel sheets, MS Project or Jira or similar tools, right, would be a good asset. They reflect your ability to work in a structure in structured systems, right? So, and even a good professional attitude. Well, this skill is not unique to project managers. Any profession requires that, and project management would not be an exception here. So minimum qualifications to make an entry into the project management profession as a PMO analyst or a project coordinator would be PRINCE2 Foundation. So you might be already aware, the PRINCE2 certification, there are two levels. There is a foundation and followed by a practitioner. So a practitioner can be a future target, but practitioner is advanced level. So it's strongly recommended that you earn a PRINCE2 Foundation certificate, all right? So that can really be a boost to land up in a entry-level position in project management. So very clearly, organizations would value or screen, based on whether you have a PRINCE2 Foundation certificate or not, right? And of course, basic planning, scheduling techniques and all, project management techniques, planning, scheduling and all. So if you going for a PRINCE2 Foundation certification, is a part of that. So you would anyways learn the complete project management life cycle and all aspects of project management that includes planning and scheduling. So much needed. And it depends the domain, your ID professional or engineering background. So you should have some knowledge of the domain industry the role belongs to. So these, I would say, are the minimum qualifications to make it to an entry-level position. Now let's take a look at top industries hiring Prince2 professionals. We already discussed, top industries with most demand for project managers. So similar, those industries are the ones hiring as well. But let's take let's do a deep dive into top industries that are hiring Prince2 professionals. Now, IT and digital transformation being one of the top industries. So in this domain or sector, the projects here would be like cloud migration, SaaS deployment, cybersecurity, AI adoption. So these are typically the kind of projects and which would keep the demand high. So example of projects here would be a ERP rollout or a AI implementation or a banking app development. Yeah. And the focus of such projects, I'm sure you can appreciate the focus of project management would vary from industry to industry. Like the kind of demand from project management the IT transformation project would vary from construction or from finance or other industries. So when it comes to IT and digital transformation, here project managers need to more focus on managing and leading teams, controlling scope creep in a project, coordinate and engage with stakeholders, catering to competing needs of the stakeholders. So these are some common challenges and hence focus areas for a project manager, right? And here, based on the PMI salary survey, take a look at the numbers. You see certified professional, you can clearly see certified professionals earn anything between 10 to 20% higher. Okay, so this is based on PMI salary survey. Now, if you take a look at the construction and infrastructure industry, this sector is expected to shine primarily due to increased government infrastructure spending and like projects like airports, metro systems, smart cities. You would keep the demand high. So infrastructure projects, these are zero tolerance for chaos. We need more structure, more discipline. So that's why project managers here, their focus shifts to something else. And what's that? Budget control, contractor coordination, procurement oversight. These are the key areas to focus on in construction and infrastructure kind of projects. And if you look at the salary differentiation, again, it's similar to what we observed for the IT sector as well. Financial services, example of projects here would be core banking system upgrade, AML compliance projects, open banking integration. So regulatory scrutiny, which is what financial services are applicable to, would mean governance is critical in such projects. So the focus here would be more on governance. So as with other sectors, again, you see certified Prince2 professionals are compensated higher than non-certified ones. Let's take a look at the energy sector. As I said, this sector is one that's going to be receiving huge, funding, all right? And across the globe, across continents, regions, we see energy sector to be growing. So be it Europe, be it Asia, Middle East, Australia, everybody is focusing on energy sector. So these projects, and especially projects here are mega projects, multi-billion-dollar projects, which would typically run over 5 to 10 years, quite long projects. So the needs of such projects, again, are very different. Here we need more of a structured stage-by-stage approach. So staged control becomes more important when it comes to managing such long duration projects, right? If you talk about public sector, projects here would include e-governance platforms, national healthcare upgrades, defense modernization, these are predominantly the kind of projects that this sector would see. And public sector strongly values documented governance. So governance, transparency are key for public sector projects. And that's where Prince2 fits perfectly. So it's more suited for governance, transparency, and all. So Prince2 is, in fact, Prince2 is a mandatory qualification in many public sector roles. If you look at the salary advantage, so to summarize, we looked at a few sectors, and consistently what we see is that Prince2 has something to offer to every sector. Whatever the specific needs of the sector be, Prince2 does cater to that. So be it managing and leading teams, controlling scope creep, coordinate and engage with stakeholders, needed by IT and digital transformation projects. Prince2 can help here. It has a lot of guidance around this. Or be it the budget control, contractor coordination, procurement oversight, which your construction and infrastructure projects most demand. Or be it the regulatory scrutiny and governance needs of the financial industry, or the structured stage control approach needed for mega energy sector projects that run over a longer period, or be it the governance requirement of a public sector project. So Prince2 can support all of these, right? Hence, it would be right to say that Prince2 is the gold standard in project management, right? So it's known for a structured method, strong governance, employer trust, because it's recognized credibility. If you earn the certification, that gives you credibility. And one thing we saw consistently is that across sectors, easily a 10 to 20% salary advantage Prince2 certified project managers have over non-certified ones. So why is Prince2 becoming a gold standard in project management? Well, there's several benefits of Prince2. Let's touch upon these: clear structure and defined roles. So Prince2 has clearly defined roles and responsibility. So Prince2 talks about certain roles, like just to quote, Prince2 says there has to be a project manager, there got to be team managers, we need project support, project assurance, project board. So it talks about several roles, and it clearly defines responsibilities, what falls on the plate of project manager, okay? What will assurance do, right? Likewise, what does the project board responsibilities are? So it's very clear roles and responsibility, well integrated, so hence offering a structure, right? Governance. The strength of Prince2 is governance. It offers governance many ways through accountability and control. So just a couple of ways it offers governance is Prince2 talks about different levels of management that would be involved in a Prince2 project. So the levels of management are, so we have the business layer at the top, the business layer, or read it as the corporate or program, where a project happens to be a part of a program. So the business layer could be replaced by the program. And then we got the project board. Another role we have is project board. And then we have the project manager. So they use the language, project board is the directing level. So they provide the overall direction to the project, while this project manager, which is termed as the managing level, because project manager is going to be doing the day-to-day management of the project. And we have team manager, right, which is the delivering level, because they're responsible for delivering products. They would plan out work packages and execute the work by a team of people that report to them. So there are various levels of management. And when we say Prince2 project management team, it includes all these levels. That's the Prince2 project management team, right? Business layer is not included in the project management team. They're outside of it, and they have very less to do very key things, commissioning the project, funding the project, and then closing the project, certain things they do. But when we talk about project management, is distributed between these three levels of management: board, project manager, and team manager. So the point is, there's clear accountability defined at each of these levels. So each level of management is going to delegate authority to the level below, right? And it's what sets some kind of a tolerance. So each level of management is going to run the project staying within that tolerance. So this principle, Prince2 calls as management by exception. So when there is a deviation beyond the tolerances, it mandates an escalation. So this concept of managed by exception is about empowering people, right? But at the same time, ensuring that the control is still there, right? Yeah. So it's quite strong with the governance in terms of accountability and control. Control is exercised other ways also. Another simple example of that would be the use of stages in Prince2. So Prince2 says, break down the project into number of management stages, and work would commence one stage at a time. So it's like this. So we would break down the project into number of stages. So the first stage is always initiation, standard. And then we would have subsequent delivery stages. Let's say stage 2, 3, 4. You would have 2, 3, 4, as many stages needed, depending on the project. So these are delivery stages, I would call it. And how does Prince2 offer control here is at the end of every stage, let's say here at the end of stage 2, project manager has to reach back to the project board, seeking approval to proceed to the next stage. So PM would produce a detailed stage plan here. PM would update the business case to check if justification still continues, all right? And in case not, then adjustments to be done. And only if there is justification will the project manager be allowed to move to the next stage. So through these stage boundaries, these gates, it ensures that a project without justification doesn't continue. Okay, so this is another way it's exercising control. Scalable for all projects, that's right. So be it a small project, just 2-3 resources working over a 1 month period, a very small project. The beauty is Prince2 can be applied here. And be it that energy sector project that would run for 8-10 years with billions of dollar investment, even there Prince2 could work. The beauty, how is it so? It can be tailored. So Prince2 can well be tailored to suit any kind of a project, right? So just to give an example, so Prince2 talks about certain 15 documents that you need to create, documents or artifacts, 15 of them. And I'll just give you an example of tailoring. A simple project, simplest of all, can be just managed with 4 documents. Sorry. With just 4 documents, you can manage a simple project. So look at the extent of tailoring. I can curtail documentation to just 4. And that shouldn't be overwhelming. All right? Right? So any project can do that. So that's how the beauty of Prince2, it can suit any projects of any scale, any industry. You see, Prince2 has seen recognition in every industry. You name it, there's Prince2. And when I say all projects, any kind of life cycle. So yeah, compatibility with agile. So be it predictive, that we're using traditional predictive life cycle, or iterative incremental life cycles, agile. So Prince2 can well be adopted. So some people have a view that Prince2 is suited for traditional kind of projects. Well, I'm afraid that's not the case. Prince2 has been agile ready, not now, since 2009 edition. So the current edition, the latest one, 7th edition that was released in 2023. All right. So I said 2009 edition onwards, Prince2 was agile ready. But I must add, in the latest edition, the 7th one, there's a good amount of guidance that was included on how to tailor Prince2 to agile environments. So with every area of, with every topic, or aspect of project management, there's clearly a section within the Prince2 guidance on how to tailor it for agile specifically. Strong public sector presence, obviously, as I mentioned, so coming from a public domain, so Prince2 has seen a lot of recognition in the public sector. So, in other words, public sector projects, Prince2 is more suited. Recognized in more than 150 plus countries. So, in a way, that's the global portability. You see, the Prince2 language is understood in more than 150 countries, so making it a global guidance, right? Right. So, final takeaway: um, choose your industry. So, based on the demand you find, so select which industry you would like to see yourself working. So, better to look for an industry that's going to expand rather than shrink, obviously, right? Build structured knowledge. So, Prince2 knowledge and plus other skills that can help you be successful. Secure internship early. So the earlier, the better. Make an entry into project management the soon as possible, right? And we spoke how can you secure or get into the project management field with what minimum qualifications, and use Prince2 strategically. So not just as a certification, although it adds weight to your CV, no doubt. And the knowledge would also be very beneficial. So use that strategically to be successful in your project deliveries, initial deliveries, to create a good track record for organizations to consider you for higher positions. Well, so that's all I had for the day. Here is an exclusive offer for all the attendees of this webinar. So if you would like to register for any of our courses, so please use this exclusive code, which is only available to the attendees of this webinar, which is webinar. And please note, this code is valid till 24th of February. So do not lose the opportunity, grab it. And this is over and above any other offer that's available. And attendees of our webinar also get access to 5 mock exams. So Prince2 simulation exams, we got 5 sets. That access will be extended to you. Contact us. Here on the page you find these are our contact details. Please visit our website, write to us. We'll be happy to respond, or call us on the numbers. So please take a note or a snapshot of this page. And that would be all. Now we'll be happy to take any questions you might have. Right, I see some questions. So the first one, I'm currently working in HR operations, but I have always been interested in project management. Which industry would be easiest to break into with Prince2, but no direct PM experience? And how can I position my HR background as relevant? First of all, I would say that, uh, even as a HR professional, we do take up projects. Projects are undertaken everywhere, and even in HR. For example, maybe you revamp the employee onboarding program. That could make a project, or maybe the performance management system, a new performance management system implementation. Even that is a project, right? Or could be standardizing some HR policy, right? So just in case, learning and development many a times is a separate function in many organizations. At times, even HR professionals get into that. So launching a L&D program. So to name a few. So there are many projects within HR itself, right? So first of all, if you already had exposure to any of these, I'm sure a typical HR professional would have some exposure to the few kind of initiatives I just talked about. It's just that you're not looking at them as a project. You already have that. So you could actually undertake them in a more structured manner all right, as a project. And you can showcase the same, as project to the recruiter, right? So that's the first thing. And next, then, which industry you can remain in your area. You don't have to really switch. Being in HR, you can get into project management roles, taking up HR kind of projects, right? And lastly, if you want to completely switch, well, I have seen people doing that in the past. Okay. But yeah, that would require you to, learn the domain a little bit. Certain domains require extensive knowledge or learning. Certain other domains are quite easy. So you may even think of switching the domain, right? Here's a second question that I received. I'm deciding between pursuing opportunities in IT tech or the public sector, right? Both seem to value Prince2, but which one offers better long term career growth and stability? All right, I'm 28 and looking to build a 20-year career. Yeah, so early stages of your career. By the way, that's really very difficult to answer. Both, the sectors, be it public or even uh, the corporate sector, right? You can make a good career in any of the sectors. Uh, if you talk about stability, safety, then yes, public sector is known for that. All right. And you can certainly grow in the public sector. But however, if you want exponential growth, that's where, out of experience, at least what I have seen, there is a proper path and it has takes it time. You cannot expedite that a lot when I compare that to the private sector. So if you really are really aspiring and uh, want to expedite your career growth, then the private sector would be a good idea, right? I will take to the next question now. Okay, here's one question. I'm currently in a project coordinator role and doing PM work without the title. All right. Should I get Prince2 certified now while I'm in this role, or wait until I'm formally promoted to a project manager? I'm worried about the cost if I can't immediately leverage it. All right, I have a clear answer to this question. If you're already doing project management without the formal title, you must quickly earn the title. It's time for you to earn it. And Prince2 would definitely help you. You must, in my view, you must undergo Prince2 certification immediately to secure the title, be it in the organization that you're currently working or maybe outside. So your experience and a badge of Prince2 can open a lot of doors out in the market for you. And I also see you were a little bit, worried about the investment. So I would say go for the first level, foundation for now, if not both the levels. All right. Practitioner could be the next target. So that can really, and I tell you, the investment is worth it. I've seen lots of examples. Okay. So with your experience and a certification, you know, you can really get the ROI immediately out of it. All right. I don't see any more questions as of now. Okay, there's a question, another one. Okay. I have a master's in project management, and currently about to take my foundation exam in a couple of days. Okay. How soon can I get a job in project management role without prior experience? So to that, I would say, okay, you are on the right path. You already have a master's, you're getting foundation. Wonderful. How soon is your luck? Leave certain things to, I would say, to the God as well. It's about luck. Okay. Some people could land up in a month's time, and some people may require a longer struggle. So it depends on what openings you come across and how your interviews go. All right. So, but sooner or later, I must say, sooner or later you would make it. You're on the correct lines. Right. Okay, let me check if there is another question. Yeah. All right, then. Thank you so much for attending the webinar, and uh, wish you good luck. Don't miss out the opportunity of 5% discount using the webinar code. Thank you once again.